Another section of sellers, I think is very important. They should consider the auction services is investors, rehabbers, people that are having to borrow money from a hard money lender and they are under the gun because they got to sell the property as soon as possible because they pay most likely high interest rates. And so when these people have working on these properties, and sometimes, they may overspend on the property and they're getting stuck and they cannot sell the property, or for some reason or another, it's taking a long time, and auction actually brings a solution to the problem because they know exactly how much they can sell it for, and they can sell it on that such a date. And basically this is a tremendous benefit also because they can offer the property for less money because the buyer is having to pay the premium to pay the commissions. So this is really a win-win situation for investors as well. What do you think about that, Brian?
Well, yeah, I think investors and flippers are perfect candidates for the auctions. Also, people that are inheriting properties through probate or whatever, that they don't necessarily want the property, they just want to be done with it. Okay, so even though we are doing a hybrid auction, it would still work the same on a liquidation auction as well through us, right? The buyer is still going to have the opportunity to inspect and do all the other things that a normal real estate. Basically, because once we get the deal accepted, it becomes a regular real estate transaction, full inspections, title insurance, the whole deal. And that's actually very important. I had a English buyer about 2 years ago. In my county, the county will actually, they do all their foreclosure auctions, their tax auctions, they do them online on all the properties that have been foreclosed on. So I had an English guy that wanted to get involved with it. So I sent him the link and I stressed with him, listen, do all your homework, do everything before you bid. Let me know before you make a bid so I can research the property. Well, we know how that goes. We say and say and say, and they don't listen. So literally the very next morning, I woke up and I had an email from this guy and he was all excited. He just bought a beautiful 4-bedroom, 2-bath home with a swimming pool, 25 minutes from Disney World, and he got it for $15,000. And I immediately went in, did some research on the property. And what he had done was the homeowners association had foreclosed on the property. So that was the auction that he went to. He bought it, but really all he did was pay off the past due homeowners association fees, because now he owns a property subject to the first mortgage, which was actually higher than the value of the home. So fortunately, I was able to catch him in time. And like you had mentioned earlier, he was required to put up a $5,000 deposit before he could even bid on the property. So if you wanted to bid and you backed out, they kept his $5,000, and that's exactly what happened to him. Wow. But he had a very expensive $5,000 learning experience, but he ended up not owning a house that was upside down by about $50,000.
Yeah, it's a great lesson actually, to think about the different types of auction points that we're talking about, the old type of auction versus a hybrid auction, which is more transparent and more open, and they know exactly what they're getting. But one of the points I wanted to make, and you were actually speaking about, the way how we're selling these properties for investors and rehabbers. A lot of times, they need also the property to be connected with the local MLS, and they need to understand that while the auction is going on, while we're doing the marketing for the auction, the property is already on MLS, and the property is already being shown in all the websites, the Zillows, the Realtors, the Trulias, and every single website. Everybody knows about these properties because of those services. So it's not like an auction is completely separate from a regular MLS sale. No, we're combining everything, putting it all together basically so we can get as much people as possible to the property. And I think that's something that investors and rehabbers should know right from the get-go if they're considering doing an auction property on their homes.
Yeah, well, that's an excellent point, because a lot of auction sites don't do that. Like auction.coms that may be auctioning off nothing but foreclosures. Well, they're not necessarily in the multiple listing service, so they're just kind of doing one road of advertising, right, for the auction itself, where we're blasting it out everywhere that we possibly can. It's going in the multiple listing service. It's going on social media. running Facebook advertisements and putting open houses and stuff on Zillow, right? Everywhere you can put the information is where we put it, because in the real world, even if you have an auction scheduled 2 weeks down the road, there's nothing stopping someone. You can do a deal outside of the auction if you want. If a buyer wants to make an offer and he doesn't want to see the property and it's acceptable, well, we can yank the auction, right? We just want to sell the house. And that happens quite a bit. It's a pre-auction bid is what it is. And people can do that.
Yeah.
Because, if you got a buyer that's willing and able to pay the price, you're not going to make him sit back for 2 weeks to wait for an auction if he's already met the figures and wants to move forward. So it just really opens up the more opportunities for more people to see it and more buyers to make offers on it. In my opinion.
It's also just about exposure, because that's what sellers want. The exposure being that you're going to get exposure of a regular listing, traditional listing to the MLS, but you're also getting an additional exposure because of the auction process. And I think that is going to, increase the amount of people that may be able to see your property and possibly, sell more for more money because of that reason.